Yeah. Oh, my Shadow Man experience.
You're such an idiot.
Right, look, I'll show you how it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the door was like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't straight open, it was on an angle.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally, as I sat down, put my headphones on, just about to do something, and I heard a noise and I went, turned around and went, but because I saw it
I saw
in the,
I saw the reflection.
and because it jumped back really fast, I was like, it's one of them videos on YouTube that you see a shadow man. And I was like, and then I turned around and I saw the reflection of my screen on the thing and went, you dickhead. Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Consummatious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
And this week we are going to be talking about the Gardner Museum heist.
Ooh.
So this is interesting to say the least. Just due to it's a heist for a start, so that's quite entertaining.
Board heists.
Yeah, and it's it's got disguises in it. So we'll see. So
Better
now,
disguises than the Alcatraz guys.
well, yeah,
Better
borderline.
disguises than when they escaped and then dressed as women at the funeral.
Yeah. I think they may have gone to the same shop as them guys, to be quite honest, because
Okay.
they weren't great. But yeah, so just gonna say I've got a new hard drive, reformatted my old hard drive, so now we've got loads of space, and I didn't realise you could rename it. So now I've got my P drive for freed up some space off my computer.
Is
So,
that P for podcasts or porn? Or is it like
wow, 3 terabytes.
the only reason you're
So half and half in it.
I was gonna say the only reason that your last hard drive was full was because of all the porn.
Anyway, the Gardner Museum heist. Yeah. So, in
Sorry.
the early hours of the 18th of March in 1990, 13 works of art which have been valued at $500 million, were stolen from a Boston museum. And this heist would kind of make George Clooney and Brad Pitt blush. So what was taken was these 13 pieces of art. There was 4 Degas, 3 Rembrandts, a Manet, and Napoleon's Gold Eagle Standard were taken.
Napoleon's what?
So he had a standard bearer, which was a solid gold eagle, and that was from Napoleonic times.
What was that doing in the Boston Museum?
So this is the thing, isn't it? Like with museums, they're kind of morally ambiguous for me, because from a British point of view, anyway, most of the stuff in our museums has been stolen.
True.
So, and this was a.
But is it stealing when you've already conquered the country?
Yeah, I mean, we're going down this cancelled route, aren't we? Jesus Christ, we really want to get cancelled.
I'm kidding, but not really.
Yeah, no, it's true when you own it, but then when you give it back, surely you should give everything back.
Yeah,
No.
but then we would have no mummies to look at.
Maybe the people that you're giving them back to would put it in a museum or sell it on the black
Maybe.
market. Depends.
Have
So-
you ever seen a mummy in a museum though?
A mummy? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right, like Tutankhamun.
Yeah, not like a MILF, and keep up. Like, yeah, like Tutankhamun.
Still thinking about the P drive. Uh, I mean, yeah. Isn't there some
Do you-
at the British Museum?
There is. I think it was. I can't remember whether it was the British Museum or the Cairo Museum because they keep swapping and sharing their Egyptian stuff, don't they? But I remember seeing the mummy of King Ramses II and thinking, holy shit, this guy ruled Egypt. He ruled an entire country, and here he is behind a glass case, just sick of his death.
I mean, in fairness, you could say Ed Gein kind of did the same thing.
True.
Dug up a body and kept it in his front room, didn't he?
I know, but then he got like people were like, "You sick fuck" for that. No one goes to the curator of the British Museum and goes, "What the shit is up with this? This guy? Do you know? Do you even have any idea, any cognitive recognition of what this guy was? Like, this is just. It was. I was in awe because it was very disrespectful. And my sister walked behind me and she was just like, "Eh, it's just a thing in bandages, in it."
Yeah.
He was only one of the greatest rulers of all time, but anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. Continue.
Technically, that's true. But yeah, so and this was a private museum as well. So Isabel Gardner, who actually owned this museum, she was an art collector. She had a bit of money behind her, and she went around the world obtaining these works of art. But in 1982, the FBI uncovered a plot to rob the museum, and security consultants were brought in to have a look at the museum's security, the layout. And amongst some improvements that they mentioned that were installed were 60 infrared motion detectors and 4 cameras being placed on the outside of the building. Now, because Isabel Gardner Stewart didn't want the interior of the building modified or renovated in any way, shape, or form, they didn't put any cameras inside the building. Yeah.
I think this woman's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
500 million minimum pounds or dollars worth of art in your gallery, and you're going to be like, be all right with the 4 cameras outside. Just 4 outside as well.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness to her, she did die in 1924, so maybe she didn't have any hindsight about how someone could want to steal all that art in the future. But the Board of Trustees decided this was a no-go. It was an expense issue as well, and another recommendation was to raise the actual wage of the security guards, as they were paid just over minimum wage, and they weren't really up to a high standard, as we may find out as the story progresses.
I get paid to go, oi! I don't get paid to chase you.
Exactly. And so on the night of the 18th, the guards on duty were Rick Abbott and Randy Heston. Abbott was a regular night watchman, and he's gone on record as disliking the job. He actually went so far as to tell the police that he turned up after playing gigs, or he'd been out and he was high or either drunk.
Just what you want in your security staff.
Yeah, and it was Heslin's first shift. So it's not a dream team they've got on tonight, I'll be quite honest for you.
No.
So Abbott went on patrol first, and as he was on patrol, 2 different fire alarms rang in different rooms. He went to check the rooms, but he couldn't find any smoke, any trace of fire. And when he got to the main desk, rather than be disturbed, he disabled the fire alarm. During his patrol, he also opened and closed the side door of the museum. Now, he claimed that he did this regularly to check that it was closed properly. But
Are those doors not alarmed, or was it too early?
No, I think they were just like, I think he just did that, you push on it and then close it, and you go, like when you leave the house and you're in a rush and then you have to go back because you don't know if you've used your keys on it, and you're like, oh fucking hell.
Yeah, just didn't know whether it was a fire exit, because then, you know.
It was the actual side door that the thieves gained entry to. So take that as you will.
Didn't quite close it as shut as he thought.
Yeah. It was also claimed that this may have been a sign for the thieves who were outside that he was on the way back to the desk. Just a little opening door. Because he claimed that he did this regularly, but other security guards have actually said if this was the case, it would have shown up and he would have been told to stop doing this because it obviously goes against our security protocol kind of thing. So when he returned to the desk at 1 a.m, Heston started his patrol. 20 minutes later, 2 people dressed as policemen buzzed on the side door buzzer and claimed they were investigating a disturbance in the area and needed to be let in. Now, if they were in the area like looking at the disturbance, then surely the security guard, Abbott, could have gone, no, it's locked down, no one's been in or out, we've got motion detectors, da-da-da. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of things that he could have done at this point. He could have contacted the police and found out if there was an actual disturbance in the area. He could have asked the CID before he buzzed them in, and he could have actually said there's been no disturbances, so just have a look around outside. But because apparently he had tickets to a Grateful Dead concert the next day, he didn't want any trouble. So he buzzed them in.
Do you not think, anyway, even if he had asked for ID, that they would have already thought they might ask for ID and they would have some, you know what you used to get in the cereal boxes, the little police badges, the little plastic ones. Like, yes, this is a PD. Can we just scout the area out?
Yeah, I'll just open the wallet dead quickly. Like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's just got FBI and big permanent marker letters on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done, but then they could have had that. But once police approached the desk as they were buzzed in, Abbott could see straight away that one of them was wearing a fake moustache. He said as they approached the desk, it looked a bit dodgy, and as I looked at him, I could see it wasn't an actual real moustache. So then surely, for this, warning alarms are going off in his own head. Not the fire alarm, he's disabled that. So, surely. But the police, quote marks, then asked him, then said, you look familiar. I'm sure we've got a warrant out for your arrest. Can you come out here and show us some ID? Now, again, this was against protocol because one guard had to be behind the desk at all times because it had a panic button behind there. So if he thought anything was untoward, he could have just pressed the panic button. But obviously, he needs to go and see the Grateful Dead, and can't miss that gig. So once he stepped outside, he was handcuffed, and he was told to get Heston back to the desk to call him back round from his round. And when Heston appeared, he was also handcuffed. Now, they did question as to why they were being arrested, and apparently one of the police officers said, "You're not being arrested. This is actually a robbery." So, classic. So the thieves duct taped them, their heads and eyes, and handcuffed them to a steam pipe in the basement. This took 15 minutes from their entry into the building to tying them up downstairs. And not once did they ask for directions about where the basement was, about the layout of the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd been there before.
They could have done, and that would be standard. So you go in, you case the place, you know what's in there, you know your exits, your getaways. But the basement kind of seems like a place where, unless you were staff, you wouldn't necessarily be going down to.
No, but if you'd cased the place out, you'd be like, where the fuck is the basement? Because that's where I need to be handcuffing people to. So let's find out. That one says staff only, so I'm going with that's either the cafeteria or the basement. We'll take a 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, and to be
honest, fails, we'll handcuff them to the fridge.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, basement, the clue is in the name, really, as to where it could be. Usually they're down below everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So the thieves made their way through the museum. Their movements were recorded on the motion sensors, but obviously no camera footage was taken. So great investment, lads. And it took under 90 minutes for them to be in and out. I mean, this is just a picture of the aftermath of it, where they'd actually cut the paintings out of the actual frames and just discarded them. The frame of Chez Tortoni, which was a piece by Manet, it was actually left on the guard's desk, just like propped up. So, and the motion sensors never actually picked them up in that room where this painting was kept. It only picked up Abbott in that room. So maybe it malfunctioned. The thieves did go in and destroy all the paper evidence, because this was the 80s, so they must have had a printer set up to these motion detectors or God knows what. But they destroyed all the paper evidence, but these were actually saved on a hard drive. So that's the reason why we know where they went. When the next shift arrived in the morning, they were a bit puzzled as to why no one was letting them in. So they contacted the museum's head of security, who, after he entered using his keys, he couldn't find Abbott and Heston, and called the actual police. Now, I'm sure, I don't know if he had a good look or anything, but it's a private museum. I can't imagine it's going to be like the size of the British Museum or the Rijksmuseum. I can only imagine, like, there's very few places they would be. And if he saw all the aftermath of the destruction, maybe he thought, I'll go and check the basement just in case. Or maybe he thought they were in on it as well and they'd got off in the night. Who knows? But the FBI jumped all over this case and didn't really do anything because it is still unsolved today. They've got a list of suspects though, and number one would be Rick Abbott, because by his own admission, the descriptions that he gave were not very good. I mean, he described one of them as looking like Colonel Klink from the American TV show Hogan's Heroes. Now, I've never seen it, and I only know that from reference from The Simpsons, of where Homer, his conscience is Colonel Klink, and that's the only reason why. But there on screen is the e-fits that he gave, and they do look like cartoon characters. It's just your basic
like claymation people.
Indeed, but in fairness, I wouldn't know personally. I wouldn't know how to describe someone. It's like they had a face, eyes, they fake moustache. So for me, the only reason why Rick Abbott could be a suspect is more incompetence rather than criminal cunning. He never, after this, he never did anything. Like, I think he became a teacher after this, but he never bought a massive luxury house. He never, there's no records of him having spent money or living the high life after this.
He's just an idiot.
Yeah, I just think it was just the people who did this may have known about him and what he did, and if the case of joint out, they may have seen his behaviour and gone, this one's a right one, we can get away with this easy. It is, there's a lot of coincidences, but sometimes they are just kind of coincidences. And I mean, especially for like 500 million, it's a lot of art to be getting away with, and not being funny, but someone who plays in a band and comes into work pissed, I'm not putting it at their door, really.
No, but I mean, for I don't understand how it's still unsolved because the guys that came in were clearly just. I mean, they weren't pro enough to not have shit disguises.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were pro enough to get in and out in 90 minutes and then have some way of trafficking the stolen art that was never found.
Yeah.
So you don't just nick famous artwork and then just sell it on eBay, do you?
No.
You know, you have to know people on the black market.
Of
so
course.
these guys clearly weren't just a pair of idiots, even though they might have dressed like them. I don't understand. It's like if they were pros, why were they dressing like idiots? And if they were idiots, how did they get away with moving the artwork? Either that or it's, still in somebody's garage. You know them, what are they called? Where they get the big shipping containers and you pay like however much and then you open it. And sometimes it's shite and sometimes it's a jag.
Storage locker thing.
Storage hunters.
Yeah.
That's what that's going to be. Someone's going to open it one day and there's going to be 500 mil of stolen
Rembrandt
art.
in there and a gold filigree eagle.
But that person's going to be devastated because it's not a jag that they can even sell. They can't do anything with this artwork. They just got to give it back.
Yeah. That's the thing. And this is the thing with the suspects as well. Like, Whitey Bulger was one of the suspects. And if you don't know who Whitey Bulger was, he was a Boston Irish mafioso. And he was really big. He was on the run for fucking 40 years or something stupid. But he was really big. And he was the biggest gang leader in Boston. And anything that went in or on in Boston, which is predominantly Irish, would have had to go through him. But
he didn't look like a smart dude, though.
No, he didn't. Just be careful what I say now. But the way he got to the top is he was a police informant. He grasped on all the other guys who he was going against, and the police didn't care because he was Irish. All the other people that he was grasping on were non-natives of Boston, let's say. So they were either of Italian descent, African American descent, they were Latinos. So as long as the Irish and the police got a nice slice, they were fine. Also, his brother was one of the highest judges in Boston at the time. So,
but still, though, snitches get stitches.
Yeah, but he was apparently above all of that. But he claimed that he had nothing to do with it, and he even put out some of his people to try and find out who did it. Now that is
not the best way to make sure that people don't think you're suspect.
Yeah, it's kind of a smokescreen.
Yeah, of course it is.
For there. And I mean, why he's one of the biggest suspects for me personally is because of the Irish connection. Because in the 80s and early 90s, stolen art was traded for guns and ammunition via Ireland. Like in 1986, Martin Cahill, who was nicknamed the General, who was one of the biggest gangsters in Dublin, he had no affiliation with the IRA or the UVF, but he stole 18 pieces of some of the most valuable works of art from Sir Alfred Bates' collection, which was in County Wicklow, and he sold it to anyone who came along. He actually made, I think, about $500,000 from it, but these were valued at, I'm not going to say 500 million, but they were valued at a hell of a lot more. And people like Colonel Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, when these people were brought down, they were found to have great works of art in their palaces. And
I never understood that. They had, clearly, they're not asked about art.
Yeah.
Unless it's the art of war.
Yeah, it's just something to pretty on the walls, isn't it? Yeah. I've got money. Yeah. I don't think I don't think the people he's torturing down in his cells really care. Like, oh well,
like
Gaddafi
in a torture chair, and they're like, ah, is that money? Hold on, just hold on with that scalpel, please. Could I just get it? Could you wheel me closer to that so I can get a little bit of a closer look?
Oh, I love the brushstrokes and the impressionist work. Oh, you can tell he took a lot of a lot out of Rembrandt in the earlier stuff as well, can't you? It's brilliant. Wear them pliers. Carry on. Maybe he just wanted his torturers to have something pretty to look at while they were pulling people's teeth out with.
Teeth out.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Imagine if you were the poor person sat in that chair
Well.
trying to say, "Oh my god, I shot a Van Gogh with no teeth."
You broke my jaw as well.
Oh my god, I shot a Van Gogh. Ow!
I really appreciate that.
Oh, we're terrible people. But they were probably being tortured because they were murderers themselves or something, you know.
No, or spoke out against the government, really. Dissidents.
Well, yeah.
But yeah.
People don't really get captured by the mafia. The mafia and gangs and stuff aren't really interested in people that are just minding their own business and being civilians. They're interested in other gangs and other gang members.
True. That is quite true. And I mean,
I'm hardly competition and would not warrant torturing and kidnapping.
Yes, we'll just get that online now. There were also American mafia suspects, which the Philadelphia mafia were allegedly involved. Now, one of their associates apparently handled some of these paintings and they were moved on. One of them even had one of them hanging in their house. But,
Smart.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit tenuous because there is the distance from Boston to Philadelphia, and in the early 90s there was an internal gangland struggle going on in the Philadelphia mafia. So people were getting shot left, right, and centre. I really don't think a heist was top of their list of priorities.
They were too busy.
Yeah, they were too busy trying not to get shot and trying not to get car bombed. So I think the FBI are just trying to throw it out onto big suspects rather than it was John. He's got one in his gazebo. It's shit. And also the Patricia crime family, but it's circumstantial, really. What is interesting is the statute of limitations ran out in 1995. So, kids, you've got 5 years if you do an art theft, and then you're free and clear. So, maybe something to work at. So
that's great. Okay, so explain this to me then. So, say when the statute of limitations runs out completely, if I buy a shipping container on Storage Hunters and it's got all those paintings in, I can keep them?
Legally, yes, because you would have paid to own that. You would have a contract saying I'm sure if it's a storage container, you sign over, I have paid So that's a legally binding contract. If they've obviously them storage containers have kind of been abandoned. They've got fees on them. You have to pay a certain amount to get them. So you pay, say they're back owed in £1,000 worth of fees because they've been there that long. You pay that £1,000, you get access to that storage container.
Even though when it's open, it's known officially that all those paintings are stolen, I can still keep them. See, you're telling people that they can...
Technically, no, I'm just saying, if you're going to do art crime, there's only 5 years, and then you won't get prosecuted. Now, it's a morality issue. If you were to open that storage container and see all them paintings, would you hand them back?
Yeah, or, right, so say I'm an art thief and I, nick a Van Gogh and then wait 5 years, statute of limitations runs out, and then I try and sell it, I can't get prosecuted, but I surely still can because it's still a stolen piece of art.
You wouldn't get done for the theft of the art. It depends how long the statute of limitations are. Well, it depends how long the statute of limitations are on fencing, on handling stolen goods. So it's all I'm saying, right? All I'm saying is if you're stealing art, right, 5 years and you won't be charged for stealing art.
But unless you're going to put it in your house where it'll look pretty and be a conversation starter,
Exactly.
you also can't sell it either.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true. All right, don't steal art then. Is that what you want me to say?
Yeah.
British Museum, take note. Uh,
Yeah. I
but
was never very big on art anyway, to be honest.
yeah, but you say that, right? And you open a storage container, and then you see all these beautiful pieces of artwork. There was a reward, and up until 2017, the museum would pay out $10 million for the safe
Ooh.
return of all the paint. That's all the paintings, and if you just returned one, then they'd it was a sliding scale. I think they had a price list for it.
Ooh.
And they have said, the museum have said that they will not put your name forward if you just go over and hand it over. The museum has said, no questions asked, return it and you'll get X amount.
That's amazing. I should probably have a look in the garage because there's so much shit in there right now.
So
They could be sat right at the back.
yeah, I mean with the Martin Cahill, the artworks he's stolen, he stole 18 pieces of art, 16 have been returned. There are still 2 out there. So there is a lot of circumstantial evidence or hearsay, let's say, that they are actually buried in the moors in Ireland around County Wicklow. So
Well, that means they'll be destroyed.
get a shove. I mean,
Unless they're in a reinforced fucking lead container. And even then, the dumpster would have got in.
I'm sure they've been packaged. I don't think they've just dug up a bit of land and gone, yeah, just throw it in that hole, that'll be fine. Come back in a year. Well, yeah, the people you're dealing with, I suppose. They can't even buy a proper false moustache.
Fake tash, exactly.
Yeah, this is kind of people we're dealing with. But there is still lost art out there. So, but if you search in Ireland, you may find another cachet of something that you don't really want to get involved with, because apparently there's still a load of weapons out there as well. But yeah, so there was tell of a Dutch investigator who had actually seen the paintings, and he claimed that they were being kept within a warehouse just outside Rotterdam, I believe. And he was involved in trying to negotiate the release, let's say, or the return of these paintings, but this petered out as he thought he may be getting prosecuted as handling stolen goods, or the police may have tried to get him for something. So these kind of petered out. But as of today, there are still these 13 pieces of art out there.
Do you not think they might be in the same warehouse that James Dean's car is? Because that's apparently in a warehouse somewhere as well, isn't it? It's this mystical warehouse full of shit that went missing that everyone's looking for.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's a lot of warehouses out there, but apparently they're all filled up with the Ark of the Covenant and God knows what else.
Yeah. Only person that's going to find any of those is Indiana Jones, and Harrison Ford ain't got long left, I don't think.
No, he's not. But Shia LaBeouf could have a go.
Mm.
Was he? He was in it. Was he his son in one of them?
Yeah, but I'm not a fan.
No. I mean, I zoned out after the aliens appeared in that one.
If you're listening, Shay, I appreciate you listening, but not a fan of your films.
Yeah, and if you are listening, subscribe, and
like
comment.
and subscribe. It helps the
It does.
It helps the algorithm.
Yeah. See, I don't think you should be having another one of them.
5%, mate. I think I haven't had enough. There's not enough alcohol in my bloodstream right now.
Yeah, that's it. You need to get back that tolerance level.
I do, yeah.
Up to your normal standards.
Yeah, which is so high that it makes my piss have an alcohol percentage.
Now, on that bombshell, so
drinking's bad, kids.
Yeah, drinking is really bad, but it's so good. But this isn't made for kids anyway, so we'll get away with that.
True.
can never get monetized on this place. So, yeah, these are out there, people, and go have a look. You may have it in your attic or your basement, or you may find Rick Abbott down there. Who knows?
Still handcuffed to the pipe.
Still handcuffed with
It's my safe place.
gaffer tape over. This is where I come to when the world gets on top of me. Fucking lost the key though. Help me. It's been 4 years I've been down here.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so on that bombshell, definitely on that bombshell, because Rick's still alive and doing well. And in any way, shape or form, I'm not pointing the finger at him. We just want to cover our own bases legally. And I just think he was a victim of circumstance. And just because he was the way he was, the finger got pointed at him pretty rapidly. And he's proved it, that it wasn't him. He's never been charged with anything, so he is off the hook. But Whitey Bulger's dead, so he definitely did it. Legally,
Still has associates, and
legally, I'm safe there, I think.
legally you're not, but try
Yeah.
telling that to your dead corpse after you've been stabbed by one of his associates.
It's alright, I get on with Leo and is it Matt Damon? That was based on that film, weren't it? What was it called? The Deer Hunter? You don't even know because you've not seen any films ever. Encanto. I bet you've seen that one.
I actually haven't. It's on my list.
But there you go. And Keen Escape from Alcatraz isn't.
I'm still watching Moana over and over. I don't have time for Alcatraz at the moment.
On that bombshell. Give up. This has been the MO Podcast with me, Contumacious Ant.
And me, Atreya.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we shall see you next time. Bye.
The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast.